Well, here we are again. I don't know what that noise was either, Rafi.
I was like, do you have an arcade machine on your home?
No, I don't.
I just turned it off.
Oh, was that you, Zach?
Oh yeah, that all day long. It just sounds like there's an Atari player in my pocket.
Oh, is that your text message?
Yeah, that's text message and Instagram, I believe.
Well, it was good timing. Well, thanks everybody for stopping by. It is Tuesday, August 18th, 2026. And despite what I put in the title, it is episode 12, not episode 2. Episode 2 happened already. So this one is going to be in the books here very shortly. And as you guys already know, we are in the middle of another Python apocalypse where the sky is falling, everybody's getting out of ball pythons and moving into other species and whatnot, so forth. So with that said, Doc, Zach, how are you guys surviving the apocalypse? What are you doing with your ball pythons?
Oh, man, I'm selling them. I'm being forced to sell them because of the market and stuff. And like before, I was keeping them all before, but now I'm having to sell them.
Now you're having to sell them?
Yeah, I'm having to sell them. It's rough. It's rough on me. I'm having to sell them, and man, it's really killing me that they're moving faster than they used to. Like, I hate that. It's this market, where it's like, I don't know. I must be just giving them away, basically.
Yeah. Definitely signs of a collapsing market. Doc, what are you doing? How are you staying afloat in this market?
So I decided to. I'm here to announce that I decided to sell my entire collection. I'm selling to Wickens Whack-A-Mole reptiles in Canada. He's buying my entire collection because his announcement messed with the market. So like all the prices dropped and he's buying the dip. So unfortunately, I've been.
Be buying the dip, right? Get ready next week. Buy the dip; it'll be there. It's like stocks.
I've been trying to sell my body, but no takers, no takers. So
well, that one I can understand fully, for sure.
I'm moving to Mexico because the market is much hotter there. So.
Oh, is that why you've been? You already started moving your collection over there ahead of the move?
Exactly. So I'm going to export from Mexico to Canada. It's going to go all to the Wickens Whack-A-Moles, and he's going to make some crazy shit. With all seriousness, people don't understand. Okay, the market is not the greatest. I mean, we're still moving animals, but it partially is the timing too. Every year, people don't realize that sales are seasonal, right? You have that big move of animals during tax season. Everybody sells a bunch of stuff from 25, and then fall comes in, the new animals. So people are excited to buy babies and things are moving at shows. So I don't know why people feel that way, but every year is the same thing. And people blame ball pythons, crested geckos because it's flood. Dude, there are only 20-something thousand ball pythons. At one point, we had like 60,000 on Morph Market. So we are at 20. I don't remember, it was 20-something last time I looked.
Right.
Couple of days ago. So a lot of people got out because some people wanted to do different things. Some people they got tired of ball pythons, but it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop at all. I've been producing the craziest animals that I ever produce. Every year, my animals get better. And that's what you have to do. Don't copy what I do, please.
Okay, I'll try not to.
Exactly. But just try to produce different things that you're passionate about. Not just trying to follow trends. That's the problem because people go like DG clowns, and then everybody goes to the DG clown, monsoon something, ultramel sunset, and do your own thing. If you want to have like a side project because you just liked the ultramel sunset, that's fine. But don't think that you're gonna be a millionaire because somebody sold a sunset ultramel at one point for $30,000. That person had the right animal at the right time. That's all. Hey, what's up, Tara?
Yeah. So what it sounds like to me is you guys are not seeing much of any kind of change in demand other than what is typically seasonal.
No, I mean, that's not entirely true over here. I have seen a huge change, a huge shift, if I'm being honest. This time, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I was shooting for, 80% investment level animals. And I was shooting for about 80% of my collection to be targeted towards other breeders. And because we still had a good surplus supply of breeders in the hobby, breeders still coming in the hobby, an overabundance of breeders in the hobby, buying projects still. And I only used about 20% of, show stuff, in which I usually got most of that from just byproduct animals to, do some of the pet stuff to kind of pad the numbers. Well, now, I mean, I do 30 plus shows a year just for myself, not including the big national shows I do for Reptile Ads or Husbandry Pro. And the big change I've been seeing is, and what I've done myself is I now do 80% show stuff for pet level stuff and 20% investment level, because the investment level stuff is the sales that have been slowing down. You can chase the trend and be ahead of it. That takes timing, like Doc says, being in the right place at the right time. Not chasing the trend will get you in the right place at the right time. If everyone's making it right now and you're just now buying stuff for Desert Ghost VPI, like, you're not going to recover your investment. If you're buying stuff right now from Desert Ghost VPI and you're spending good money on it, and it's not like quad visual or double visual with double heads and stuff, you can write it down on an envelope, mail it to yourself, and stamp the date on that thing that you're not getting your money back out of that one.
Another good as
you were like, breeding double hets that they got cheap on auction are going to hit lotto and stuff and get an animal and be like, oh, well, I only had $50 in those animals and I ended up selling one that's worth it. But realistically, what happens more often than not is you buy those cheap animals, you hit the lotto animal, you keep the dang thing, so you make $0 on it and you still don't recover your investment.
Two other examples are Batman's and Pompeii. So if you see all the Pompeii at one point, all the Pompeii misses, you had spot nose, red stripe, yellow belly clown. You had spot nose, black pastel, yellow belly. Had black pastel, yellow belly, red stripe, and then you see like the market flooded because people were not hitting the Pompeii, and then the animals lost the value.
But something like the Pompeii is still holding its value because nobody can hit it. It's like the byproducts from so many people trying to hit it have made the byproducts just plummet. But what is Pompeii? 5 gene combo? 6
No,
gene combo?
it's 4 in clown.
So five if you're including the clown. The chances of hitting that exact 5 gene combo are slim, and it's crazy. You can miss it by 1 gene, and you're looking at a $500 animal missing it with 1 gene, but people will still pay you $2,000 if you add that 1 extra gene that makes it the right one to call it Pompeii.
Yeah, I've been seeing like Pompeii at shows for selling for anywhere from 15 to $2,000 still, because it's not easy. The problem with Pompeii is the black pastel, spot nose, and yellow belly. So you cannot like breed Pompeii to Pompeii if you want to have like good animals. That's the problem.
Right.
And stuff like that's still doing well. Like I've got a buddy who hit my buddy Josh at Trinity Herps. If you're listening, you're looking for one. He hit 14 freaking urban camos last season, and he sold every single one of them like $2,500 to $3,000. The ones that went a little bit cheaper were, just like not as good visual quality examples. And that's how he did it. Like the nicest looking ones out of the 14, he held firm on them. But they were all right there. And they sold just one or two a month all year until he sold all of them. And now he's making more. And that's still a good snake because it's not easily reproducible. It's like the Pompeii. It's the end animal is still good because that's the pet level animal. If I'm buying a $2,000, $3,000 pet ball python, it needs to be something that looks, what do those do? They look exceptional. You can't make a crap load of them, so nobody's going to floor the price on them. And so stuff like that, you're going to hold a good value there because people can't rush out and freaking just breed this to this and make a metric ton of them and floor it like they'll do with the blue-eyed Lucies and pieds and stuff. And that's why you look at the last decade and blue-eyed Lucies go like this. And people think it's because of the economy and stuff like that. It's like, no. 2 or 3 people in the United States control the price of blue-eyed Lucies. And you're talking about people who breed entire racks of them. Somebody who's putting out 200 to 400 of these things or 500, 600 of these have the capacity to do so. And they look at the market and they're like, oh, they're going for $225. It's not worth breeding. I won't breed them this year. They don't breed them this year. By next year, they're up to $300. They breed them. They get the 300. They ride the price down to the 250 mark. It still keeps going down to the 275 by the time, or down to 225 by the time they're doing it again. They skip another round. If the prices get low enough, they'll skip multiple years. You got, people like Mike Wilbanks can sit on a rack of animals because the market value is too low for his investment to produce them. And he can singularly control the market to where, oh, you know what? I make 800 of those. We will hold off on those next year. The price, that'll make the price go up. So, you got to watch out with what you're making in this market, like what you're shooting for, what your projects are. Is it fast moving stuff?
Right.
Like what I'm shooting for. I don't want stuff that's sitting around for a year like I did a couple of years ago. If I was selling stuff within 2 or 3 months consistently, I wasn't asking enough money for it because these were investment level stuff. You don't want to sell them super fast or you're giving your investments away. But now with these pretty snakes, it's like if you're sitting on them 3 or 4 months, you're probably not priced right for the market that you're advertising in.
And you see the difference, 2 different people with 2 different perspectives because Zach is mostly a show guy. He sells online, but he does a lot of shows. So his audience is different too.
Yeah.
And so your sales strategy's got to be different too, and take that, where are you planning to sell your animals? That helps determine, because a lot of the world is falling people have one place to sell their animals. They're relying on morph market, only morph market. And the fact that they can undercut somebody else on the price is the only thing they have going for them, and that's just a horrible place to be in.
No, those are good points. So sounds like neither of you think that our market is collapsing. I think we can probably put that one to bed. But speaking of market collapse, what would you guys look for in our particular industry to signal a market collapse? Like, what would you have to observe to say, holy shit, maybe it's time to finally pull the plug. Maybe this is the big one. Is there even such a thing that could happen? I don't think there is. But just in case, what would you look for?
You take that one, Doc?
to me is going to be the economy, to be honest. Because changing legislation, I don't see anything that would affect ball pythons specifically, because they're the most common pet snake today in the market. So, and there are no proof or there are no signs of ball pythons being invasive or anything like that. They're not
Right.
predatory animals. So I don't see that changing. Like some cities might have like is it Dallas that you cannot have anything over 6 feet?
There's different, it's all ordinances here in Texas, really. Like we have the laxest state laws ever, and then you got weird, random city. It's always a big city where they'll have all these illegal laws in Texas that we like to call ordinances, where somebody made them up for the safety of the community, and so Yeah, like you can't in Dallas County. You cannot own, buy, sell any species of boa besides red-tailed boas, and it literally says red-tailed boas. It does not say boa imperator or boa constrictor. It says red-tailed boas. You cannot own, buy, possess, or sell any species of python besides ball pythons. Not Python regius, not, like literally says ball pythons. And that's what the Dallas laws say. So
Does the Dallas law describe what a ball python is? I feel like there are ways around that.
No sand boas, no rosy boas, no children's pythons. And you're like, oh, scary. But the red tails, you can have those.
Yeah, so economy to me is economy. Like if people cannot afford food, gas, rent, that's when. But then everything is going to collapse. But you can see when the market is a little bit flat. I try to look for other markets too, not only like pet. Like so, I look into collectibles and I look into and those markets are kind of flat too. I used to collect like high-end statues like of monsters and superheroes and stuff. A few years ago, you can buy something retail and you could sell for 3 times the value because they were like limited edition. Now you are lucky if you can get 50% of what you paid.
Right.
So,
but somehow Pokemon cards are up.
because people are thinking this the same way that people thought of statues investment, but people don't realize too that the only people making real money is the one that are printing the cards, because they decide which card is going to go where and which one is valuable, and
Yeah.
so
And folks are looking for different stores of value, especially when there's a down economy and maybe they don't trust the government as much as they would in an up economy. So I mean that's always a factor there. But I pulled out one of my business books and looked up pressures that indicate a collapsing market. And for the big ones, and it's not the only ones, the most significant one is a large drop in demand for whatever reason, whether it's economic, whether it's perception, legal, whatever. When demand drops and supply does not follow, you start to see some sort of a collapse. It might be temporary, but it could be big enough, depending on what it is, to shut the whole entire market down. And that brings us to like extreme over or under production of supply, right? Market's elastic. If we're overproducing ball pythons relative to demand, the prices are going to drop, right? They're going to sit on the shelves. We're going to have, instead of 21,000 units produced and ready to go, it'll go up to 60.
Well, it's like everything went down too. Like, I don't think people realize, like horses, automobiles. Think about the used cars. I know everybody remembers the used car thing. Like freaking, they were like crazy here, and then they plummeted. Everybody lost their ass who traded in their cars. A bunch of y'all are still stuck in your cars right now because of that shit. And and that's the economy. Like that's the whole market, not just the ball python market.
Yeah.
You talk about an over surplus, not meeting the demand. It's like, well, the demand was overinflated due to a one-off scenario, and so the demand did plummet. But it did. It's done. It plummeted. It plummeted through the artificial high, and then it continued plummeting through because we hit a fucking flip economy. We went from fucking us having a surplus of money to all having a negative of money. So you had a double length fucking dip instead of like the big troughs that you get where it goes like this. You got a double dip and it went down, and that's where we're losing some of the big heads and stuff, the people who've been in the hobby, who've been here for a long time, because a lot of people who've done this, planned for rainy days. Like, my family's generational in Texas, animals, and like I did dogs, my dad did mules, horses, goats, chickens. We've always sold some kind of animals for money. And the ebb and flow of those animals has always matched the economy.
Right.
And people always, like people who are doing this in these generational times, you make plans for this. Like you button down the hatches. You you run on your margins, and you make sure you have things in place for whenever the market is low and you do have inventory dips. But what happens is even people with good plans weren't prepared for the double dip. And that's what we got, was a double dip. We got the dip from going up artificially too high to come back to normal. And then that fell on an also very dropped economy. And so it's like it dropped twice. And that's what scared a lot of people and ran a lot of extra people off. But I think we're staring at the other side of the correction, you know, like Doc said, we went from 60,000 down to 20,000, and now we're fucking poor. We've all been poor. We've been poor for the last 4 years now. Poor people learn to adopt. They learn to evolve. It's like we still don't spend like we used to because we're still fucking poor, but we're used to being poor. We've tightened our belts. And you start opening up the pockets again. You start buying some shit. And that's where we're at right now, is people are spending, but they're cautiously spending. Yeah. You know, they're not needlessly spending or needlessly investing unless the deal seems too good to be true. You know, so that's where you get people like, you're getting knee-jerk reactions from people who are like, hey, you know, this is a $30,000 project. I'll let you in for 15. There's still people out there with the 15 who are dropping the 15. It's just, they're not like, oh, I want to pay you top dollar because like everything's hitting roses right now. You know, people are more skeptical in the down economy.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
So I did my quote unquote AI research on market metrics and things. You know, we basically have to look at like the US luxury market, right? All of the, you know, disposable income, right? Because that's kind of where we fit. And in 2024, that was the first year the reptile exotic pets market had a contraction, 4%. 2025, we were back up to 5% growth. 2026, I can't pull up a lot of data yet because that usually lags by a couple quarters. But I mean, from what I can tell, it doesn't seem like 2026 isn't as bad. It's not as bad as 2025 was. So I would tend to agree, just from what I can observe, that we're on the other side of a correction, and we're probably still in the middle of trying to stabilize what the market's going to look like. But coming out of COVID, we had some new things, new pressures on our market, kind of a double-edged sword, if you will. We've got shed testing, which allows everybody to get to where they want to be a lot faster, but at the same time, it accelerates price erosion, especially with the recessives, because now you don't have to prove them out. You don't have to sit on them. They're not as rare. You can sell something that's been shed tested, and you can sell it as a guaranteed hat, and they move faster. So that, to me, that speeds up the velocity of the market all together.
Well, and now you're fucking with the top of the pyramid, because that's, you're fucking with the big boys with the shed testing shit, because like it goes like this, but it's slower. Like we felt the dip in the bottom way before the big boys did. They're like, what are y'all talking about? The market's not falling. Y'all are just crying about nothing. And then all of a sudden you got big boys starting to get out, and they're like, the market's falling. By the time the market's falling for them, those of us at the bottom, we're already starting to rebound. Like those, like I hate to say that, like I'm at the bottom, like I know I'm not with what I've got, but, like I produce a lot of beautiful pet level snakes, 2 and 3 gene combos that I'm selling for $800 to $1,200 based on their visual appeal, based on the fact that no one else in the room has it. Even if they're simple combos, they're just beautiful combos. And so it's getting back here. But just like when it was coming down and the sky was falling for us and not them, now some of us are starting to feel a little bit of relief who are selling these pretty animals. It's going to be another 6 months to a year before the top feels any of that relief. And then you throw on the fact of how shed testing fucked with their shit. So it's like, it's finding a new place where the money's going to be. Like the money got all thrown up in the air again. It's like somebody took everybody's Monopoly hand, threw all their money up in the air, and everybody's got to fucking grab it, except the guys who had the most got a little bit of a head start. Like it, you can go and randomly fucking, I know somebody who's done it, just run full panels on every fucking thing you have and then come up with fucking, 32% of my animals had some hidden het. How much of an intake is that for you? Well, and if you do it right in the beginning, a little bit. You do it now where shed testing's been out for a while, you're probably not going to recuperate the money that you spent on the fucking testing to test every animal in your collection, even if you had a 32% return on it.
Yeah, but hats became in complete dominance now with shed testing on most of the stuff. Basically, that's what it is. It's luck of the draw. You can have. I was just telling Travis. I had a I had to visual clutch, and every single animal was visual. Every single one of them was visual, and I had the opposite. I had a clutch that had 12 eggs, and I got two visuals. So it's all about luck, to be honest. This is just playing the roulette. You can be extremely lucky, and you cannot, and we're all playing the same game. Uh, a guy like Justin that has 300 and something clutches, 360 clutches a year, he has to hit all of those. He has to put a lot of hats to hats, and that's how it's played. Like to get those quad hats, he's not gonna have a visual quad hat to a visual quad hat in most of his pairings. So he's gonna have a double visual double hat from that pairing, a double visual hat, or whatever it is, triple visual hat. But he's gonna miss a lot of them, and he's not gonna get any visual. But he has the volume to do it.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's good.
we're all go
Good
ahead.
point. So, other than direct sales, what are some of the things that indicate that the market's healthy? I mean, the easy answer is, oh, my sales are up. But that I don't want to hear that one. I want to hear what you guys look at outside of the obvious, like before the sales are going up. Well, I mean, what are the indicators? Are there any? You guys, what do you look at? You look at other things outside the market.
I mean, the economy drives stuff to a certain degree, but the economy hasn't really done anything. If anything, we had a little shit fit fucking due to the war and everything right now without getting too much into it. Which, I mean, I can't say didn't affect my sales because, I mean, running as many shows as I do and running, typically at least a couple a month, like little small events, I can kind of track little ripples in it. And I will say my sales have been back down this month and last month by about probably 20 to 30% more than I would expect them to be down. They're typically down this time of year anyways. If you're doing shows or anything, you're wherever you're selling, your sales are going to be down because we're back to school time. The last month before back to school is the biggest vacation month. And then this month right now is your back to school month. So all of your extra expenses are going to drop anyways. But, historically, I track my sales month over month and year over year and week over week. I track all that shit. And this last couple months has been down more than I predicted it being down. Like I expected to coast into these couple months with, zero thoughts given about picking up an extra show or even updating any listings online or anything like that. And I've had to been like, circulate. You know how it is. You circulate a couple pictures around like, okay, all right, hey, look, I got some stuff coming out. Like I haven't picked up an extra show or anything yet, but I have had to kick the hustle up a notch more than I expected to the last couple months. And I do think that that's probably because it's felt like, confidence spending's down a little bit. Gas prices are up. Grocery prices are up. So, and then it's the time of year. So it's like there's an overall miniature dip right now.
I was telling Travis on the phone today or was yesterday. I don't remember. But usually these months for me, July and August, they're very slow. People spend their money on vacation. They want to do different stuff. They don't want to have the responsibility of having animals. So the best time of the year for me is always fall and after tax season or during tax season. That's when I have a big surge of my sales and I sell a bunch of animals when I'm not exporting them to Mexico. So,
well, apparently you can't export them to Mexico very well. So
I don't.
Be good at selling them locally.
Good at it, Doc.
People. The problem is you have to take this if you're doing this for a living, just like Zach does. You have to know how to manage your money, right? So
You got
you're
to
gonna
save
have
money
sometimes
for the good time, like and for the
you have
bad times, for sure.
exactly. So like you cannot stress, oh my god, I'm not selling anything. Like so you never had a business or been in sales before, because that's how it goes. You have to keep pushing, of course, but it's not guaranteed that you're gonna make money any
Right.
month. But then Christmas comes around, like before, like the Christmas time, people want to buy like gifts and stuff like that. So
Yeah, you know, and
um,
it's not completely unworth doing shows and stuff if you're doing shows this time of year either, because like I can't not do shows because like Repticon, they do Repticon Dallas in the middle of summer, and it's like, yeah, well, I know it's going to suck. I know it's going to be the suckiest of three Repticons, but if I don't do it, I lose my spot. So you got to, you got to move your seat, move your feet, lose your seat shows.
Right.
You know,
who is not seen is not remembered, right?
That's right. And, but it's good advertisement. I can't tell you how often in like September and November, once people start recuperating from the back to school time and stuff, I'll see them at the next show and they're like, oh, yeah, I got my setup ready now. I was looking last time. Like I was just telling Jesse, I was beaming, just freaking beaming yesterday because somebody tagged in a group post. They're like, oh, is that a par python you bought? Because my wife did a show last weekend while I was in Daytona, and somebody bought a snake from her and they had posted it, and somebody recognized my tablecloths, and they're like, oh, it is a par python, and they're like, oh, I've been wanting one from them for so long, the next show and stuff, and it's like, I don't know, that was like huge, like falling over my ego on that one, like like that doesn't happen often, like I don't. Like, so seeing something like that, I got all excited.
Yeah.
But stuff like that happens, people see you and then they're like, they're looking at this animal or that animal. Hey, even if you sold it, like you gave them a good impression, you spent the time with them. Like don't be dicks to people who aren't ready to buy right now. I still follow up like, hey, when are you? Like, what's that looking like? Like, I've got this and this cooking. I'm gonna talk to them about future projects for when they project that they might have the right money. Like, oh yeah, at that time I'll actually have this and this and this hatching. Here, check out my Husbandry Pro link. You can see what I've got cooking in the incubator, and everything that has a due date, you can expect that about 2 months after that, they're going to be ready to go. You're telling me you're going to look to buy a Christmas present snake, and you're buying one between here and there. They can go look at my list, see, oh, wow, look, he's going to have all these ready and stuff. Now they're looking at my stuff, plotting on my stuff, waiting, getting anticipated. They walk in, beeline straight to my booth like this with blinders on, and those are some of the best sales.
That's awesome.
Nice. All right. So with that being said, go ahead, Rafi.
Say something, because mine was another topic.
So with that being said, what about the market dynamics of other species? So
That's what
something that I've noticed just since I've been in is a lot of diversification. Guys aren't necessarily getting out of ball pythons, but they're diversifying into other things. Some of them, into rats because it's easy, right? Or easy. It's logical, right? Because everybody has to have rats. They're like toilet paper. And then a lot of other guys, are diversifying into other species. Maybe species don't necessarily have the same morph competition that ball pythons have. What do you guys think? Zach, you go first because I know you've got a whole zoo over there.
Like I'm one to talk about this because I started diversifying like I've always had other stuff. Ball pythons weren't even my first love, but I started really diversifying like 3 years ago, like real heavy before a lot of my friends did. And they're like, when ball pythons, the top of the market was still doing really good. And it was started like we had just started seeing the dip in the shows, the stuff, and like the more entry level people like myself, were starting to have a hard time selling hets, and they were sitting, but the big boys were still selling all the good doubles. And, like y'all remember these times. I know Rafi does. Like if you had the nice doubles and triples and stuff, they were still just flying off the shelf and doing good. But if you were like in the medium phase, it was like anything under $1,500 was garbage. Anything over $2,000 was gold. And like around that time, I already had a few other things, but I started buying into this and buying into that because these markets were actually lower than the ball pythons. Every market felt it. I saw it because I was already watching some of this other stuff because I was already, like, I think I was maybe 6 months into ball pythons before I bought some other species. So, I've been looking at other species for the past 7-8 years and thinking, I want this also, I want this also. And I knew when I started my whole business that I wanted to use ball pythons to pay for all of that because I knew that they're so mainstream that would always be a good backbone to have. And so once the ball python sales were doing good and everything, I had the financial means to use the balls to pay for the other stuff. The balls started coming down. Everything else came down too. It's like I started seeing like a couple pages of carpet pythons. There'd be fucking 2 pages of jungles for $200 to $250 for pure lineage jungles like Scattershot and Headhunter and stuff that right now you can't touch that for $4 to $5. It's going to be $4 to $5.50 for just the normal jungle right like that. Those prices have doubled in the last 24 to 36 months. Like definitely more than 12 months. 3 years ago it was still like somewhere in there. It was right around.
So what's driving that?
Flipping. And it seems to be like a lot of that driving that is the leveling out of the market in general. People in general are getting used to being poor. And so you have a general leveling out of the economy as a whole. But then I feel like a lot of those have been driven higher because you brought in so many money-driven people during fucking COVID who were in this for the money as a business. Like, I've got to make money. And when the ball python started dropping, they started grasping at straws, looking everywhere for what could be the next thing. Like, sorry, hognose breeders. Ball python breeders ruined that shit for you. Don't blame me. I sold all mine as soon as I saw ball python breeders starting to buy them in whole entire collections. I was like, you know what? I got 3 of these. I was going to breed them and make some cool little things. Fuck y'all, you can have it. I'm not going to be in the next race to the bottom. I remember when ball pythons started going down, you could not buy a fucking hognose at an expo within 5 months of hognose season, period. There wasn't one at the show, period. They sold out every single year. You had to wait for hognose season. There would be 8 listings on all of Morph Market for hognose. And then, like, that was one of the biggest ones the ball python people rushed into. And all the people who were in hognose, they got like, man, y'all fuckers in hognoses who are watching this, y'all made it bank. It's like they got the COVID boost from everybody buying a cute little hognose. And then when it started going down, all the ball python people were like, look at the hognose. And so like they got like a little extra high there and like in their market, but now they're paying for that. Like,
Yeah, but that was
prices dropping in half. Their prices have dropped by 75% in the last 13 or 14 months by my last research.
but that was the most that was with most species that had a fad. For example, at one point, Dumeril's boas were like $800 because everybody had money, they wanted them, and now you see it shows at $300 all day long. You see like people like trying to sell, they're not moving. We saw that with Crasta geckos. I see a lot of decline on leopard geckos too. As far as we would at shows, I would see like a lot more than their availability now. So I think a lot of people reduce. They're still out there, but not as much as. I don't even know what that is.
You don't deserve any.
Makes me sneeze.
I don't drink.
But oh man, the leopard gecko market had already like that market collapsed before probably fucking you or I or any of us here got on this reptile kick. Like they've done flood that. They've had warehouses full of leopard geckos. Like in 2018, when I bought Cheesecake, my red tail boa, before I was buying my first ball python, like I made this whole crazy plan. They were already floored. You could just go to freaking wholesale leopard geckos and you could go to a website and buy them for like $10 to $15 a piece in like these big lots. And, thankfully, like whenever the decline of the market and the economy as a whole happened, a couple of those big ass fucking businesses went under because they were producing so many fucking leopard geckos that they were producing them. They were doing the Walmart method, right? You know, we'll sell them and we'll make literally a buck or two profit per animal, and we'll sell a few, thousands of animals. And so when the market collapsed and they got stuck with all these animals, their profit margins went to shit. And a couple of those big warehouse companies went under. I know that. And then a few of them that did better, a lot of them, like I talked about market manipulation. You're talking about millionaires. These are people who, can afford to have a couple of years of just like, oh, we just won't breed anything for a year or two. And they'll let the market rebound and then they'll floor it again. I know that's been happening on leopard geckos for at least I think it's 15 to 18 years whenever that started happening. Just from some old heads I know some old leopard gecko heads. Sean, who owns Herps, was huge in leopard geckos.
Yeah, I would say having the ability to sit on your inventory for a season and not have that hurt your business that's priceless. I mean, that's where I want to remain. I'm in that kind of position. I'm not a full-time breeder that's relying on making money to feed my family. I think that's the best model for this, right? Because you've got other income that comes in that can pad your overhead if you needed to. The downside is you're working 2 jobs. That's my biggest, pressure is that I work, 50, 60 hours a week sometimes with this new quote unquote retirement job. And so, at night after everybody goes to bed, I'm back down here in the snake room doing all the things that, I would have normally been able to do some during the day. But that's my only gripe. I mean, my overhead doesn't control me. I don't make any business decisions because I have an overhead number to hit. But, and I'm comfortable with that.
A lot of people don't get to be in that position though. You got plenty of people who are, the same boat as me. I guess I kind of got a square job, but I make, I don't mind throwing it out there. I make more money from par parts for steam pythons than I do husbandry pro by leaps and bounds. And reptile ads has done nothing but cost me money ever. It's free. I spend all my time and money on that. So, par parts is what pays for all this to happen. And so, I do have to hustle like a fucking crackhead. A crackhead never wakes up and wonders if he's going to find crack today. He wakes up and he finds crack. And that's how I've been having to hustle because, I've got $2,600 a month worth of bills, no matter what. And it doesn't give a fuck what the economy does. Unless fuel prices and shit goes up, my bills go up a little bit more, but then I have to hustle even harder. And so that just means you have to make the smart decisions. You got to decide where to breed, what to breed. Don't chase trends, don't chase fads. A lot of the stuff, like my ball pythons and my meat and potatoes, I know they're going to sell. There's shows where they're slower and they're higher, but they're always part of the number. There's shows where carpet pythons carry me. There's been shows already where boas carry me, and I'm still fairly new on the boas. But the ball python, the other stuff is just what helps to make it more like this. When it's just the ball pythons, it's like this.
Yeah. So that brings me to my next question is what species are you looking at to fill the gaps? What is something that you think is a complement to ball pythons? I mean, I know you got carpets. Maybe carpets is the easy answer, but what other species are you looking at?
It's not an easy answer. I've got over a dozen species. And that's because it's not an easy answer. A big one is I think it was Doc was talking about the what do they call them? The boas, the stinky poop boas.
Dumerils.
Stinky poop boas, dumerils. The dumerils boas, low hanging fruit people go to. Why? Because I can find breeder dumerils and it's like, oh, $800 a pop. All I got to do is breed them together. That stuff that's being dropped right now is stuff like that, like white lips. I've got my white lips. I haven't been in a crazy rush to breed my white lips because I've seen the white lips that have held like a $1,500 captive bred price for over a decade stall, and people start listing them for $1,200, $1,100. I know good and fucking well they're going for offers of $700 and $800. And it's like, you know what? There's nothing to that. It's that animal. There's no animal drilled on it. Every animal you make is going to look exactly the same. There's not even a point of taking a picture of more than one animal in the clutch. They look exactly fucking identical. There's only going to be so much demand for that within the hobby because it's a specialist snake. You know, you're never going to make a white lip into a every household type of animal with its, you know, peculiarities. You know what I mean? So whenever people see that, like, oh, that's a $1,500 snake, it's these dollar sign people, which, I mean, you kind of have to be. You know, I hate on them and I talk about the dollar sign people, but you got to have a business mind to it. But it's the trend chasers and stuff like, oh, I can buy these for adults and let me just breed them because they're $1,500. It's like right now you're in a scrambling phase on some of these weird other species where some of the stuff that's like around but just a little harder to breed or a little more cantankerous and stuff like your white lips and stuff like that are getting a little bit more overbred and stuff than they normally have historically because people have just like freaked the fuck out because their ball pythons didn't sell at the rate they were selling because they were only ever used to a COVID rate of sell, which wasn't a healthy rate of sell and wasn't normal. And so, but it's what they knew is normal. And so they're just like, oh, let me get this and breed this, get this and breed this. And the only thing they can do to stay relevant is to drop the price as fast as they can drop it. You know, you got people who will drop the price 50% just because I want to sell it today. I'm in a spot and stuff. You know, it's like they're not even coming in 5-10% lower. You know, like that's what you get in a healthy economy. In a healthy economy, you see $1,500 white lips, and then the guy who wants to come in and undercut somebody's at like $1,475. You know,
yeah.
$1,450. You know, we're in the market where somebody comes in, fuck you, I've got these for $700. They disappear overnight because we're in a place where people will buy that because we're in a rebounding market. So they're like, fuck you, you're stupid. I'm just going to snatch them all up. But you're in a place where you have frantic people too. So I still think we need to get rid of a good percentage more people, not as massive as we needed to get rid of a couple of years ago. You know, like I was screaming from a rooftop a couple of years ago, like we need to let some of these people go. It's like every time we see a friend get out of the hobby, we hate it and we cry for them a little bit, but you know, you're helping. You know, you're taking one for the team. You're helping me to sell more animals. You're helping my vision to go better because I've, you know, put the foresight into it. And the more that happens, the better it's going to be. The people who stick it in and are able to get through these times are going to be the people who reap the rewards when the market bounces back, because there's only been one thing that's held through since the start of currency and human existence. And that is, for every single time there has fucking ever been a recession, there has been a golden age to fucking follow. The valley always follows a hill and vice versa. Suck it up and just batten down the hatches.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
And to be honest, I think most of the people that got out, I'm going to say most, not all, were the people that were in for the money, only for the money.
Yeah, and that's the people frantic right now.
If you don't have a love out of this, you're not going to survive as far as bad times, right? Because if you still love what you do and you love the species and you love the animals, you're gonna still be breeding. You can reduce your pairings maybe because your overhead is too high and you don't want to feed a bunch of babies because you're not gonna be able to sell them, and you cut in half what you're gonna breed, but you still have a love for that. And that's why when people start going to, you mentioned the hog noses, and I saw a lot of ball python breeders go into hog noses. I said, I particularly don't like hog noses. A lot of people do, but I would not be happy breeding something just because.
Dude,
I like corn.
I liked them. I wanted to do it, but I was like, I'm not competing in some, like, I knew that hognose was about to be the #2 most contested reptile in the world besides fucking ball pythons, and it was, and I was right, and I was glad I sold mine when I did.
I like corn snakes better than hog noses, to be honest, just because, just like the ball pythons, I like all the combination, all the morphs and everything. I mean, corn snakes were the first ball pythons as far as morphs and different, like people were breeding them like with recessives, not knowing that they were hats. So you would have a clutch of corn snakes and like all kinds of crazy shit will pop out of the eggs, and you didn't even know there was hat for this or hat for that. So I think we're gonna get to that point at ball pythons too. Sometimes it happens, but I think more and more people that are buying the surplus or like stuff that breeders just like sell those males for this and that, we're gonna start seeing a bunch of like crazy stuff like popping up from people like just having as a hobby.
So what do you think, what, what species do you think is complementary to ball pythons? Same question I asked Zach.
I don't think that there is a complementary species. I think you have to breed what you like. For
Yeah.
example, if you like green tree pythons, breed green tree pythons along with ball pythons, but don't buy into because people are making a lot of money. The people that are making a lot of money, they love the species and they have been working with them. And I don't think you should follow like a rule. Like if you like boas, breed boas. If you like colubrids, breed colubrids. There was a big push on the Dreamercon too. Dreamercons are not for everybody. They need a lot of space. They poop a lot. Their poop stink. But if you love this,
people breeding them, like we don't have shit for it in captivity. It's very important we keep people breeding it to keep it going, but it will never be for everybody.
Yeah.
And
so
a lot of species won't be. That's the big thing is like, you're always looking for everybody's like, we're still with ball pythons. I feel like he was Doc's, it was corn snakes until ball pythons came along, and now it's ball pythons. And I don't think we found the new ball pythons. Like corn or hognose came along, and they were flavor of the year or so, and they're there. And I feel like they've got that spot where they're going to be up there in that market, like they're going to be top dogs. But due to regulations, due to mildly venomous, due to shit like that, they're just downright illegal in a lot of states. Fucking they have regulations
Here.
in a lot of other states, due to the mildly venomous stuff. And so it'll never be the next ball python. And so I still think we're in a ball python is king shit, king dog market where, that's still what's, when it comes to snakes, it's ball pythons. It's still a ball python world.
I mean, there was a big surge in the African house snakes. But I was actually watching a video of someone showing some hatchlings. Those things can teleport. They're so fast, like the hatchlings. Like you'd see, like they move. And
Did
they
you
were
say,
like
did you
just
say
like,
teleport?
yeah, exactly. Like that was in his hand, and then all of a sudden it was on the table. I was like, "What? What just happened?" I didn't even see like how that snake moved.
That's because you've been into ball pythons too long.
So
That's
when you get
replaced corn snakes is just for being slow. That's it. They're slow.
and then for kids, like
a ball python, that's the new ball python. I guarantee.
how are you gonna give one of those to a kid like that? That it's not like feasible.
Gone. Fucking gone.
Oh, that thing is down in your air vent and stinking up the house in 3 days. Instantly.
Oh my god!
First time you hand that snake to a kid.
Actually, it was funny.
That thing, man. I got these new Chinese bamboo rat snakes, and I was like, oh, they're like crested geckos. They live in our temperatures, like you can put them in a bioactive, like they check a lot of boxes for like, oh, everybody can have these. You get them motherfuckers out, and I ain't never seen anything so fast, small, and frail in my life. I'm like, I'm going to hurt this thing trying to stop it from just going 175 miles an hour.
Yeah, the thing that makes me so I have a pair of Karampas, and the thing that makes me the most nervous about them is losing them when I take them out because they're fast and they're tiny.
Ask my mom. I used to lose snakes in the house all the time when I was a teenager. Like one time I lost a baby rat tail, and was because the window units in Brazil, when you like old apartments, you have the window units not actually on the window, it goes through the wall. Like it can either go higher or below your window, right? So it was inside of the inside was alive, but was like inside of the filter of the air conditioning. I lost one, and I found like was a rat snake. I found it 3 months later inside of the house. My sister used to put like towels, like bath towels, underneath her bedroom door because she was afraid that one of the snakes were gonna get in her room. So I understand, but I think as far as pets go, like there is no better snake than ball pythons, to be honest. And Travis is always pushing me to go for the emeralds. One day I will, but I still have a love for this thing. To me, it's Christmas every clutch, or sometimes is charcoal, right? Like they hatch and it's like, oh crap. But
Hey,
it's
Zach,
fun.
we want more people to watch the show, not less. But
What?
nobody wants to see any of this up here on the swimsuit.
I just want you to know you're talking to one of the top 7 sexiest men in the reptile hobby, according to a popular poll. I don't know where I
Top
was
7?
at in the poll, but I know that I was somewhere not in the bottom 2.
Well, we need to see you on a poll to verify that, I think.
Mike from Mike's Monitors was ahead of me. I do know that.
Go ahead. Well, Rothy, the only reason I was pushing you to the ETBs is because you've got 950 ball pythons and 11,242 rats.
He's exaggerating.
940.
340? Is that including babies for sale?
No, it's just mess at 940. No, right now I reduced a lot of my adults. I sold a lot of my adults. Because one, I need space.
You have almost 1,000 ball pythons.
No. The most that I had, the most that I had with the hatchlings was 400. The most that I had. I'm not even close to that now.
I've broke 400, I think, 2 or 3 times ever. But you're talking about like for a week or two, just like, oh shit, like I'm busting at the seams. I didn't even fit in my hatchling racks, and I had to make a wholesale deal real quick.
No, I had at one point, like last year, I had 250 plus hatchlings, and that's when I hit that number. And
Jeez,
it started like I remember when the season started. I told my wife, I think I'm gonna have to get a new hatchling rack. And she's like, don't panic, everything's gonna be fine. I said, no, I have to panic now because I'm not gonna buy it like after I need it. I have to buy it before I need it.
I can't tell you how many times I've had to buy one while I needed it. Like they're sitting in like 6 quart tubs on a fucking heat strip on the counter.
So I had to move my holdbacks before time because I have 210 series with 75 tubs, and I have the ARS Mini with 150. I have more levels. And then
I want one of those.
One of these were for holdbacks, like one of the just like for my holdbacks, and I had to move them prior needing to because I needed the space in the ARS Mini because I didn't have more space. And this year I thought I was gonna have less clutches, and I was telling I'm gonna have a little bit less, but I wanted to be under 30, and I'm gonna be at 33, 4. I did 37 last year.
Last year, my record was 31, and then last year I wanted to break it, and I hit 32 just on ball python, plus 4 carbon python clutches last year. And I was like, okay, all right, I won't hit that this year because I hit it last year, and it's like, holy fuck, I just pulled ball python clutch number 25 or 26, and then I was counting. I still have fucking 9 or 8 on lay watch for ball pythons, and that's just ones that are, going to lay in the next 2 weeks. And I'm like, shit, I know we're only at freaking August. I still got September, October, November. I'm like, fuck me. My incubator's full of shit. I've got my other incubator, my smaller one, just has 1 file snake clutch in it because they have to incubate much lower. And I'm like, if 1 more fucking clutch lays before this file snake clutch comes out, I have to pull the file snake clutch out, stick it in my adult room on a counter, and let it fucking finish incubating at like 78.
You're like look at the incubator is like shed. It's like I need a space.
I had 20 fucking snakes to take for sale at my last show before this past weekend. And then I had 70 this weekend to take to a show this past weekend. And my next show in 2 weekends, I will have 170 to take to a show. And I've got 16 fucking clutches in the incubator coming out in the next
You,
Of that, 8 of them are coming out in the next 2 weeks.
Zach, you were lucky. Like I'm having a late season, so for the SCRE, I couldn't bring one hatchling. All my animals were 2025. One, like I got one, and I was gonna put it on the display, and they had 5 meals, but it was born. It was born like small. I was like, "You're going back to the rack. I'm not gonna take it." And some of them that were ready, I'm waiting to send the sheds for shed testing, so I couldn't take them anyway. Some I'm waiting for the mom to be tested. Some I'm waiting for after the mom. If she tests positive, I'm gonna test the babies. And I had some crazy stuff. So now I'm to the point that this next Friday I'm gonna post a bunch of hatchlings, and I want to do from the get go. I want to do some wholesale lots, just like to move. Like I don't want to be dragging stuff for like how long, and just like put 10 animal lots on Morph Market and just be done. Put a nice animal, like to call the attention. Reptile ads.
Okay. I want to
Yeah, it's actually reptiliads, Rafi, or reptiliads.
I'm not gonna
JPEG that takes the white out with the blank background where it would just like kind of float there and look nice, Travis. If you just used a different file type.
Well, I wanted it to pop a little bit more, and I also don't know what I'm doing. So
I'm not gonna update my ads until I get the fucking hat.
He's one to bitch about the hat, Mister. I can't deliver a T-shirt to anybody.
You say I'm bad with the T-shirts. Like I'm waiting for like 5 years when he had the concept from Reptile Ads for him to send me the send me a shirt. Is that better?
I'll send you a shirt. I will fucking
Okay.
send you a shirt. I have shirt bags. I have 3 hats sitting right here, and one of them is for you. And there's nowhere.
Are you gonna go?
Store and like I don't know. I don't have any fucking boxes that I have.
Are you gonna go to Tinley?
Oh man, that's a sore subject right now. I am signed up for Tenley for Reptile Ads and for Husbandry Pro. As of right now, we are still planning on going. But
okay, so you can bring my hat and my shirt since you haven't sent the hat yet, so I can wear it during my videos.
Yeah, I'll be there no matter what. I'll be there no matter what, even if we end up not doing it.
I was telling Travis that I schedule all my business meetings for that week. I usually try to condense them in Chicago for October. So I never go to the one in the winter. So I usually go to the fall. And so we can meet there.
Get a shirt for me too, Rafi.
No, I can mail to you from there. Like if you ask me to send you a shirt, I don't think it's gonna go well.
Well, just don't tell Zach it's for me. Just get a double XL. Tell him you're using it as a nightie.
Yeah, I wear large, by the way.
I mean, I gave out fucking like 43 shirts this weekend. Yeah, I don't know where you live.
Which colors you have?
Shirts. I have. Oh, it's not this shirt. It's this shirt, except it's. Well, it is the .com logo. It says "Buy, Sell, Connect."
But is it?
You take the white out of the background there and make it kind of float a little bit more on the shirt.
Nope. If I take the white out, you don't see the word reptile. Then you just have ads.
That was my point. Oh boy. All right. On that note, I think we might be coming to the end of our live stream. Might want to say goodnight before we say things that we might end up regretting on live here. Everybody in the chat and everybody watching, thanks a lot for tuning in. Appreciate it.
That was
Zach Attack. It's always great when you show up and we have some fun on the show. Kind of offsets Rafi a little bit, you know.
Hey,
So-
and you know, if you're not on Reptile Ads yet, go ahead and get on Reptile Ads because it's awesome. And our foot traffic on on Reptile Ads has went up by tenfold in the last 30 days alone.
Yeah, I
Our
started.
SEO has just started ranking.
Get in on the bottom floor while it's there. Get in while it's cheap. Be a founding member.
Free 99.
Free 99. All right, guys. What do you got to say, Rafi?
And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.